Are your orchids just not growing or flowering as well as expected? And do you think it's very possibly a nutrient deficiency? Perhaps they're not getting everything they need to grow and flower properly. Well, today we've got just the right solution for you. We're going to give you a quick, easy, homemade DIY solution to ensure that you get all the correct micronutrients so that your orchids can grow to their full potential and flower beautifully. Let's get straight down to cooking this up. Well, not really cooking, I'm not allowed to do that any longer. We're going to use this baby, but I've even been known to boil this dry. So we'll be using this sparingly. So that just goes to show how easy and quick this is actually going to be. And indeed, it's going to be some of the most basic household ingredients that you'll have lying around your kitchen. Going through the kitchen, we found some of these ingredients that we're going to need to get as many of those micronutrients as possible to put into our blend. We're going to start off with Epsom salts. This is going to give us the magnesium and sulfur. Black-strapped molasses, the unsulfured version of it. And this will give us iron, calcium and potassium, as well as other trace minerals. Seaweed extract, it doesn't necessarily have to be the plant food form. It can be one of those human supplements that you get. Even if it's powdered or anything, you can use that too, because that's still going to give you the boron, the zinc and manganese, as well as some of those other benefits that you're going to get from the seaweed extracts. And one of the most common things in your home, black tea. This is not only going to give you tannin, it's also going to give you manganese, as well as trace amounts of those other micronutrients. And there's a couple of ones I may not have mentioned yet already. These are supplying other micronutrients like molybdenum and copper, which are often not associated with problems in your orchids because they are needed in such small doses. But let's give you an example. Soya sauce. This will give you that molybdenum and copper, but you're only using very small amounts. Also, green tea. This is excellent source of tannins too, but also it offers that molybdenum and the copper. So those can be added too. And you may notice some other little ingredients there that we'll explain to you at the end. Let's get down to how much of each of these ingredients we are adding to our mix. First of all, we need 1 liter of water. Ta-da! Always wanted to be a magician. Okay, so now you've noticed, yeah, this isn't a full liter, but there's a reason for it. And that's where this comes in. What we're going to do is we're just going to boil our kettle and fill up the balance, because what we're wanting here is lukewarm water. And the reason that we're doing it lukewarm, it's just going to help everything dissolve a lot faster and make this whole process a lot easier. And there we go. We're just going to add the balance of our boiling water into there, just to warm that water up marginally, just so that it's lukewarm, just to help these ingredients dissolve more quickly. And there we'll go with our Epsom salts. Epsom salts is actually magnesium sulfate. That's where you get both the magnesium and the sulfur from. So we're only wanting around half a teaspoon of this. Our unsulfured blackstrap molasses. What we're going to do with this is just take 1/4 of a teaspoon. And we'll just taste it first. No, that's not right. Actually, it's not bad. No. Don't go tasting your ingredients. There we go. 1/4 of a teaspoon of blackstrap molasses. So we have both the Epsom salts and the blackstrap molasses in here at the moment. So that's going to give us that magnesium, the sulfur, the iron, the calcium and potassium already in this mix. So let's keep going. The seaweed extract, again, Also, just 1/4 teaspoon. And that's going to add the boron, the zinc, and manganese. And then when it comes to this black tea, you're going to ask me, why is your tea so weak? Well, the idea of using tea is you're using your tea bag on your second pull. So you're not using the initial tea that you're making that you can drink yourself, but you're using the second pull. So already the majority of those tannins and the caffeine have been drawn out in your initial cup of tea. So this is going to give you less tannins, because remember, when working with tea, too many or too much of a good thing is a bad thing for your orchids. The tannins, if you put too strong a solution of these tannins onto your orchids, you're actually going to be doing the opposite. You're going to be inhibiting their growth as opposed to helping them. So we really want to use that second pull, that weak tea. So this will give you those tannins, some more manganese, and some of those other micronutrients. We do have a full episode on the use of black tea for your orchids, or tea for your orchids. We'll drop that in the description box below, along with the video for the seaweed extract. Oh, and I forgot, we also did one on molasses, so we'll drop that there too. And not to be left out, we've also done an episode on Epsom salts, so be sure to go check that out as well. So now that we've got all these ingredients, how much of this tea we're going to be adding? It's not very much at all. We want around 30 milliliters of this black tea that we're going to add to the mix. And there we go. Now, with adding that copper and molybdenum, we're going to either be using your soy sauce or your green tea. We don't use both. If you're wanting to use your green tea, remember, here again, you're adding more tannins into your mix. But then perhaps you don't have any soy sauce lying around. And if you have soy sauce, remember, this has to be preservative free. And if you can't read Chinese writing as well as I can, especially when I use Google Translate app, then ask someone. You want a preservative free one, and then you still have to be aware, because soy sauce has got lots of salts in it. So we don't want to overload our mix with salt. We just want 1 or maybe 2 tiny little drops in a liter of water. That's not going to be too bad. And we can just give that a stir. Now, depending on the water that you've used, if you've got hard water that is very alkaline, then you may want to ameliorate the pH by adding something like apple cider vinegar or fresh lemon juice. You just need a couple of drops. You just want to balance out the pH to that 5.5 to 6.5 range, so that all these nutrients are immediately available to your orchid. And how are we now going to use this? One of the easiest ways to do it is just by trying not to make too much of a mess and pouring it into a spray bottle. And then with the spray bottle, you can foliar feed it, or just give it a good spray in and around the roots, or give it a root drench. So it's as easy as that, as quick as that, and that's going to be a wonderful supplement for feeding your orchids with, especially if you are using purely organic feeds that sometimes are a little bit low in the full range of micronutrients. You can just add this in to your organic feeds to ensure that they're getting them all. Instead of using it as a free base solution like this, we can just take it to our spray bottle and pour it all in. We can then add the required amount of organic plant food, fill up our spray bottle to the 5 liter mark with water, and carry on feeding. So that's going to make sure that we've got all the essential ingredients that we can have healthy, happy orchids. This solution has a very low concentration of micronutrients in it, so it is safe to use on your orchids undiluted. But that's not to say you're going to be feeding this all the time. We're probably only adding in these extra micronutrients once a month just to help boost the plant. When you have mixed your solution like this, if you're not spraying large amounts of orchids, rather reduce your quantities right down, because even if it's kept in the fridge, it's probably only going to last for about a week before you really need to make a new solution. But when it's so easy and cheap to make, it's well worth it. The rest you can always use on your other plants. They're also going to love you for it. And remember, I have done videos on all of these products, or most of them anyway, individually, so you can go check those out to ensure that you know all the pros and cons of each of these different ingredients, so that you know how to use them properly. And if you need any further information on these products or other orchid related content, remember Ed posts up a lot of cheat sheets and articles in that Buy Me a Coffee link that is in the description box down below. So be sure to go check that out. There's a lot of information available for everyone there. Also, consider signing up, becoming a member, and grow like a pro. And thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.